and Islam were one religion because they shared a commonality of monotheism, certain prophets, but there was a split with the Judaic tradition going towards Messiah, and the Islamic tradition seemed to be more of a purist interpretation of monotheism.
So the question is it possible that both Islam and Judaism, they were kind of one religion, and then one became more monotheistic, more pure, something like that, correct?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahilladzi arsala rasulahu bil huda wa dinil haqq liyuzhinahu ala dini kullihi wa kafa billahi syahida. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la syarikalah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu la nabiyya ba'da. Berjumpa lagi dengan channel saya Mars Techno. Saya doakan semoga semua sahabat dalam keadaan sehat selalu. Pada video kali ini kami akan menampilkan bagaimana usaha dakwah seorang Dr. Sabeel Ahmed. Beliau pada kesempatan ini menerima pertanyaan dari warga senior Amerika tentang agama Islam dan sejarah Islam. Bagaimana jawaban dari Dr. Sabeel Ahmed? Nah sahabat, mari kita saksikan bersama-sama videonya dan saya hanya sedikit mereaksinya.
Yes ma'am.
How about how do the families treat family members who decide to leave the Muslim faith?
Okay.
Is there a consequence or?
Sure. So what about people who may of their own choice if they want to leave Islam? So two things, right? First and foremost, how do a person come to Islam? There is no compulsion. Means I cannot compel my family member, I cannot force anyone. Does not matter family member, friend, colleague, classmate, of their own choice they should enter Islam. When it comes to leaving Islam, it's important that if they're having doubts about who is the creator, about certain theological aspects, Muslim scholars or the parents or people of knowledge, we are supposed to sit down with that person and let them know, Islam is the truth. If you need any answers, we are here to help you. But despite all the efforts, if the person who is an adult, for example, now wants to just leave Islam, I cannot do anything. That person would be held accountable on the day of judgment. Some cultures may do something, but just from the Islamic theological point of view, if the person just quietly leaves Islam, nothing can or should be done. But if the person leaves Islam and now comes and rebels against and picks up arms and becomes an enemy combatant, all of that, that's a different story. There would be consequences for that. Hope you understand?
Yes, what would the consequences be? Through God or through the?
Well, sure. So when the person leaves Islam, there would be consequences with God, okay? That's the easiest part. But once a person leaves Islam and then becomes enemy combatant, for example, right? Rebel against the state and the government, just like in this country, if a person becomes enemy combatant, pass on the secrets, joins a opposing force, the same consequences as what we would be doing. Exactly the same thing, yes. Very good question. Yes, sir.
Can you say that historically Judaism and Islam were one religion because they shared a commonality of monotheism, certain prophets, but there was a split with the Judaic tradition going towards Messiah, and the Islamic tradition seemed to be more of a purist interpretation of monotheism. But does it seem that back in history?
Sure. Even though,
One religion?
so the question is it possible that both Islam and Judaism, they were kind of one religion, and then one became more monotheistic, more pure, something like that, correct? Very good. As I respond to that excellent question, let me just give like a quick quiz, one point quiz based upon that question. So there are so many things common between Islam and Christianity also, especially Judaism, right? So here is the quiz. Which prophet do you think is the most mentioned prophet by name in the whole Quran? And the hint would be what you were asking. All right? The most mentioned prophet, so the question is, who is the most mentioned prophet by name in the whole Quran? Take a guess. Jesus, right? Oh, well, Jesus is one of the most mentioned, but not the most mentioned. So Jesus is mentioned 25 times in the Quran. There are some prophets mentioned even more than that. What would you say?
Allah.
Well, Allah is not a prophet. Allah is the name of the creator, right? Okay, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, you'll be surprised. He's one of the least mentioned prophet by name in the whole Quran. Mentioned like 5 times. 25 times Jesus, 25 times Adam, right? Okay, quick guess. Who? Abraham is 69 times, second most mentioned. Okay, so you're getting from 5, 25, 69. Now you will hit the mark. Starts with the letter M. There you go, Moses, right? Prophet Moses, 136 times. Okay, so here is the overall view about where we take Islam, how we relate Islam with Judaism, Christianity, or any other faith. So what we say is, the Creator, who we say Allah, He has wonderful attributes. One of the attributes of God is that He's a loving God, and He wants to guide humanity. So to guide humanity, it says that He did not came down, that He became a human. He did not become a human. He did not become part of the creation. He remained God, and from the humans, He chose messengers and prophets. So the very first man, Adam, is the very first prophet that we say. So to Adam, God revealed certain passages, and then He said that share with your people, only obey one God, do good deeds, that's the way to go to paradise. So as humanity was increasing around the world, it says in the Quran, chapter 16, verse number 36, that God appointed messengers and prophets, and their mission was to invite people to submit to one God. So that submission to one God in Arabic is Islam. So we say that Islam is the first and the original faith that God gave to the very first man, and then to all the prophets and all the messengers. And then your question would be, then what about other faiths? What we say is, if Islam is the path, all the prophets came with it. Some people, they moved away from it, and some people, they started to worship idols. That's how the faith of Hinduism got started, by humans. Some people, they moved away, they removed God, and they only retained certain rituals. That's how Buddhism got started. Some people, they moved away and started to worship the sun. That's how Athenism got started. And then we say some people, they elevated Jesus to be God, Son of God, divine, part of Trinity. And we say in history, that's how the faith of Christianity got started. So God, by a merciful, guiding, loving nature, He appointed prophet after prophet to bring these people back again to the original faith, which is submission to one God. So in that sense, God then appointed Muhammad, peace be upon him, and then gave the final revelation. In the final revelation, God answers many questions about who is Jesus. Is He divine? Is He part of Trinity? What is the concept of God? So Quran has many of those questions answered. So we say that Islam is the original faith that Jesus used to preach to His people. And I will just give you one example, then I will close because Brother Atif is saying time is up, right? So I can give you like 2 quick examples. We say like the 10 commandments, the very first commandment, book of Exodus, chapter number 20, verse number 3 says, you should not take any other God besides me. I said that was Islam Moses was preaching to his people. Jesus, when He was asked $1 million question by a Jewish person, this is in Mark chapter 12, verse number 28, that of all the commandments, which one is the first, the greatest of all the commandments? Jesus, He said, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is only one. Love Him with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And Jesus said that is the first commandment. So we say that was the faith, the mission, and the main preaching of all of God's prophets. And then as people moved away from it, God appointed the final prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, to bring back the original faith. So Islam, we say, is not only for the Arabs, the Indian, Pakistanis or so. Islam, submission to one God, came for all of humanity, because in the Quran it speaks about the solutions that we all need, about how to have like good, strong families, fight racism, fight immoralities, and fight gun violence, drug abuse, gambling, homicide, suicide, all the solutions that we need for a peaceful world, for a just world, for the better world. Quran has those. But the last important thing is, Quran shows the direction how to go to paradise. Quran says that one day we are all going to die, then we have to stand in front of God. There would be a day of judgment. Everyone would be brought back to life. Just like in the classroom there would be evaluation, that would be our grand evaluation. God would be asking, how did you live this life? What belief that you had? What deeds that you have done? If a person worships one God, doing good deeds, as it says in the Quran, God by His mercy, the person goes to paradise. And if the person does not have that, keeps on worshipping humans and idols and the creation, there would be consequences, there would be hellfire. So that is the message of Islam, and I hope and pray by God's guidance, may God help us to live as brothers and sisters so we can fight racism, extremism, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia. We can create societies based upon love, based upon justice, and based upon peace. May God guide us. May God help us. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you.
Masya Allah, sebuah video dakwah yang sangat menarik dari seorang Dr. Sabeel Ahmed yang berdakwah di sebuah perpustakaan umum di Amerika Serikat. Salah seorang penanya mengatakan bagaimana keluarga muslim memperlakukan anggota keluarganya jika ia memutuskan untuk murtad atau meninggalkan agama Islam. Apakah ada konsekuensi baginya? Dijawab dengan sabar oleh Dr. Sabeel Ahmed. Jadi ada dua hal. Yang pertama yang sangat penting, bagaimana seseorang itu masuk Islam atau mu'alaf. Itu adalah tidak ada paksaan bagi mereka. Dalam Al-Quran sendiri disebutkan, La ikraha fiddin. Tidaklah ada paksaan dalam memasuki sebuah agama. Maksudnya, saya tidak bisa memaksa saudara saya untuk masuk Islam. Tidak boleh memaksa orang lain siapapun, saudara, teman, atau kolega, dan lainnya. Mereka harus atas pilihannya sendiri untuk memasuki agama Islam. Tidak boleh ada paksaan. Ketika mereka hendak murtad atau meninggalkan agama Islam, jika mereka ragu tentang siapa pencipta mereka, tentang aspek teologi, maka ulama atau orang tua seharusnya duduk bersama dengan orang tersebut dan menjelaskan kepada mereka bahwa agama Islam adalah kebenaran. Jadi terlepas dari semua upaya tersebut, jika orang tersebut tetap memilih ingin murtad atau meninggalkan agama Islam, kami tidak bisa berbuat apa-apa. Orang tersebut akan dimintakan tanggung jawabnya oleh Tuhan kelak di hari penghakiman, mengapa ia murtad. Tetapi jika orang yang murtad tersebut datang kembali dan memberontak, mengangkat senjata dan menjadi tentara musuh, maka itu akan berbeda ceritanya. Akan ada konsekuensi terhadap orang tersebut. Di pertanyaan kedua, ada seorang senior juga bertanya, agama Islam dan Yudaisme adalah menyembah satu Tuhan. Bagaimana jika mereka bersatu? Apakah bisa? Nah, sahabat, mungkin itu saja sedikit komentar dari saya. Sekian, wabillahi taufik wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.